When the priest would read the gospel before the royal gate, she would go forward and kneel beneath the gospel and place the stole on her head. When the gospel reading was over, she would kiss the stole, the gospel, and the priest's hand with much piety. Welcome back, one and all, to Orthodox Review, the most uneducated educational program on YouTube, like it or not. Anyway, this is episode 51, y'all. It's been quite a journey. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for their continued support of the show, especially in quarantine times when I guess tensions are high, brothers and sisters. But hey, if we keep our nose in books like this, and maybe over in that prayer corner, we're going to do okay. So this is Ascetics in the World, Volume 1. This was originally put together by the Sisters of St. John the Forerunner, which is a small convent over in Greece, and put together by some anonymous monk on Mount Athos, and then translated by Father Nicholas Pallas for St. Nicodemus the Hagiorite Publication Society here in America. The editor was Father Theodore Petrides, and the footnotes by our, Stephen Christoforou. Yes, that's Stephen Christoforou. He actually promoted the book a few years ago when it first came back on Y2AM. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, before we get into the book itself, I just wanted to reiterate that for those of you looking to help the show, help it further along, we do have a Patreon, PayPal. Links for those are below. A link for the book will also be below. And we're on Instagram. It's a thing. So let's get into it. I'm not really going to talk about the binding or anything like that because it's just another mass market paperback. You'll notice in the European hemisphere style, the title is printed the reverse of what we would see in American printed books. I have it on several Greek and Russian volumes. That's just a little nerd point. So anyway, Ascetics in the World. What this book is, it's imagine a collection of the lives of saints, only these are just not necessarily known or venerated saints, but these were just your average Joe in the Greek area from around the turn, from the Turkish occupation up until at the time of the printing, 2008, or time of its original production, 2008. So what you have is, and we'll just take a brief look. Oh, I forgot to mention. Yeah, this book is brought to you, and this review is brought to you by Mr. Charles Bashar, friend of the show, who sent me this to read and review, and thank God for it, because this is just a brilliant book. So we have just people. These are just people, and like you heard in the introduction, they were just extremely pious, and some of them are venerated locally as saints in their area, and of course then you have an entire section dedicated to miracles attributed to them. Now, one thing that I did notice about this book, and it really made my heart ache, I'll admit, is that a lot of these stories take place in villages in Greece, and for those of us in America, we never really had that village experience where it's a tight-knit group of rural people. Everyone who is Christian is Orthodox, and so there's that very well-defined church community. And so, after reading a lot of these stories, I found myself, longing for that life. So, but anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there. So the book really does showcase the piety of common folk, and honestly, even though in the area at the time, this was these were acceptable to a certain degree of people. It was just like a given that, well, some people are just holy. We today in America would view these people as absolutely insane fools. And I hate to say it, but even in parish life in America, if people acted the way some of these people did, they would be shunned by the community. And it's kind of a bummer. But anyway, so along in the book, you have several photographs of these people. Some of them are just charcoal drawings to go with the accounts. The photo I used at the beginning of the video is actually a header for the chapter the quote came from, which is right there. I'll just show you here. And by the way, this is all natural light. This is just light from my window. So this was, so that's what you saw in the beginning. I have another bit here that I kind of wanted to read to you because it just kind of struck me. Christians in olden times respected each holy day very much. They kept it with the fear of God. It was not a simple mechanical action. Keeping it was a cause for blessings, and transgressing it would bring about trials and destruction. In one refugee song, it says that they lost their beautiful village because, of course, they were not keeping Sunday and holy days. And the song goes, "This is what we would suffer because we did not keep Sundays and feast days. Our parents' tombs remained unread without the prayer of a priest. O our God, take pity on us." And the reason that struck me is really it goes to show a great example of the kind of piety that the average Orthodox Christian held in the old world, and something that I think we can all struggle a little harder for here in this one. First and foremost, myself. At any rate, there is one story here that, where was it? I have a bookmark on it. This dude, the untouched monk, Demetrios the Hut Dweller. Now here's what I'm going to suggest you do. I'm going to suggest that you go out and get the book, of course. As with every book I review, I just think they're worth having. But this is a story of a rich young man who, much like St. John the Hut Dweller, kind of tried to live outside the family home as a hermit. His family constantly pulled him back from his ascetic struggles. He even took off to a monastery at one point at the age of 37, and his family got angry and took him back. But this story itself really is a fantastic example of the ascetic struggle that a lot of, I would say, especially single adults in America strive towards today. And it's in the example of these local holy people that I think we really find a lot of our hope and inspiration for what we do. A lot of times people look towards modern ascetics, scholars, monastic scholars and popular personalities for a way to live a monastic kind of life, an ascetic life out in the world. We read books and listen to lectures, and honestly, it's just in the example of simple people like this. He was born in 1904. He died back in the late 80s. This is a recent man and a fantastic example of how we can apply a little bit of the struggle to our life without it being overly complicated. All right, that's enough out of me about the book. If you've read it, hit me up below. Tell me what you thought. If you have questions about it, hit me up below. If your name is Stephen Cristoforo, thank you so much for your work. Hit me up below. At any rate, on behalf of Spooky Cat, who is outside playing right now, and myself, I'd like to thank you all once again for hanging out with me and going on this journey and affording me a little time to babble about books. As always, continue to pray. Keep on praying, and don't forget to go to church, say your prayers, and remember God. God bless.